It's one of those evenings where everyone walks out happy. India getting an easy victory. The predictors here in the studio got pretty much everything right. We had Rohit, Shikhar Dhawan, Virat Kohli all contributing. We got an easy evening off because it finished 10 overs early and England's cricketers showed a bit of solidarity with their football team. So it was all in all a very happy evening. To review it all on Cricbuzz Live, we've got the usual suspects with us, Joy, Zach and Gautam Gambhir. What was your opinion of that particular victory? Clinical, one word to describe it.
Dominating. Very dominating. In fact, I thought that the England bowling looked absolutely pedestrian and there was no penetration. Didn't look like taking a wicket at any stage of the game. And I think the most concerning thing was that none of the bowlers looked like even taking a wicket. So I thought that very, very commanding from India.
England totally looked out of it. They looked out of sorts throughout. As you said, it was the bowling. I mean, you obviously have to give credit to the Indian batting, but sometimes when there's nothing in the opposition, it's very hard to even assess the strength of the batting.
Well, I mean, the home team is looking like away team and the away team is looking like home team, you know. That's the kind of effect so far Indian team has had in England. You know, it looked like the England is looking like, you know, a team which is on an away tour, away from home. You know, nothing is going their way. Those sort of visuals are seen on the ground, and it's looking like, you know, there's no fight. They're not able to create those opportunities. So I think, you know, they as a unit they need to ask themselves hard questions, like, you know, what kind of solutions they can come up with, because to play against side like India, you know, who is in form and has been consistently doing well, doesn't matter what kind of conditions they are playing in. You know, you need to have that kind of mindset. You know, it all gonna boil down to what kind of approach you have and how you are, how tough you are. I think, you know, this Indian team is surely you know, pushing England in that scenario. You know, where their mental toughness and their approach towards the game is going to be tested.
Joy, do you point your fingers at the batsmen for not being able to counter the Indian wrist spinners, the bowlers for not being penetrative, or the groundsmen for not preparing home-type pitches for them?
I would just one thing. If you have a target like that, 265, 266, a captain like a Gautam would have put in a slip. Okay, when a wicket went down, he would have attacked. He would have had this silly point, probably asked for that helmet and gone and stood in there. He would have put some pressure. It may work, it may not work. But you know exactly what he said. They didn't even look as if they were trying to put that pressure on the Indians. And that, I think, is more worrisome than the fact that they lost a match. You know, the fact that they didn't seem to actually want to put pressure on India. And that's I think they'd go back and look at that.
That's exactly what happened in the match. And it seems strange because normally when you have someone like a Rohit Sharma scoring an unbeaten 100, we probably would have started the show by saying, wow, what a brilliant innings from Rohit Sharma. And certainly it was. But just because of the lackluster effort from the opposition and how much lack of penetration there was, we're probably not celebrating it as much as we would have under normal circumstances. We'd normally be saying, wow, great knock from Virat, what a lovely start from Shikhar Dhawan, and then Rohit Sharma batted through the innings and you know, played just about, what, 10 more balls than Ben Stokes and made almost 3 times the amount of runs.
Absolutely. I think and the most concerning thing is that had England got 350, that wouldn't have been safe either. And it looked like that India could have got 350 with absolute ease as well. So that is the most concerning thing. And England not even at any stage looked like taking a wicket. And from ball one, I thought India dominated. And the way Rohit batted was unbelievable, especially on these kind of wickets where there's no help for the bowlers and the kind of pace attack and the kind of bowling attack England has. If Rohit stays in, he's going to get another 100 in the next 2 games.
Put yourself in the shoes of the England fast bowling unit. You're the captain of the fast bowling unit. You walk into that dressing room. What do you tell the skipper, the selectors, the curator? What do you ask for the next game? Because certainly they'll be pointing fingers at the performance, but you know, you need some help.
Well, I'll have to use Gautam's words here. You know, you have to be positive. You got to be aggressive, and you got to think wickets. You know, and with this batting lineup, if you don't take those wickets, you will always be chasing the ball in the crowd. You know, that's something which you don't have any escape from, because of the sheer talent in the Indian batting lineup. You know, and if they're in, like someone like Rohit now he's in form, he's going to be tough to deal with. and that kind of talent goes on right throughout the batting order. So I mean, how many times you've seen that Rohit, once he sees that early phase on, he just unstoppable. And as he plays more and more deliveries, he's just gonna reduce that gap, and the strike rate is just gonna go to probably 200. I think his last 100 runs usually come in like 40 odd balls consistently. So that's something which England bowlers need to take note of. I think as I said, to play against this kind of dominating batting order, you got to have the mindset. You got to have thick skin. You got to have your ability to deal with pressure. You're at the top of your game. It doesn't matter what the result is. You got to have that kind of approach. You got to think positive. You got to think of wickets. You have to create those kind of scenarios and situations. And yes, they will need wickets with some help for the faster bowlers for sure, because if there is no help, this kind of results will be more often than not seen in the series.
I'm also very disappointed, like for example, Virat Kohli, it's a really disappointing batting performance. He scored just 75 in 82, and I have to write it. I wrote it in my ticket because I couldn't find a place to write it. As a captain, in 29 innings as a captain, chasing, he's averaging 106. So by his standards, this 75 was actually a substandard innings. He's averaging 70 chasing normally, and he's averaging more than 100 chasing as a captain with 800. So, I mean, look at it. This guy has still not got 100. Still, India's won as if they've had a stroll in the park. So it's scary what else can happen. Look at that. This is not by far. This is a below par innings at this point in time from Virat Kohli.
But on a serious note, you saw how disappointed he was when he got out. You're always disappointed when you get out, but it looked as if they were going to finish it off with a 9-wicket victory with 2 batsmen having got 100. But it was one of those days. He's not going to complain. I mean, they've won the match, and that's the main priority.
Absolutely. I think as a captain, you should be very happy because you've got other batters contributing as well, and people were talking about Shikhar Dhawan's form, and this 40 is going to give him a lot of confidence. The way he was batting, I think sometimes it's important not to score too many runs, but the way you score those runs can be very, very important as well, because a lot of time you judge a player thinking that how much has he got on the board, but if you would have asked me, Shikhar would have been far more happier scoring these 40 so that he can continue this momentum into the next 2 games as well. Obviously, he would have been disappointed. He could have got 100 as well the way he was batting, but then obviously this 40 would have given him a lot of confidence.
In fact, I think it was this gentleman here, I remember him saying it, either it was a toss or a post-match, that I'll take a duck in a victory any day over 100 in a defeat.
Absolutely, and those are the runs which actually need to be counted as well. If you ask any of the batter or a bowler, those performances which does not turn into victories does not matter at all, because as a professional, ultimately your job is to try and help your team win, because if you score 100 and your team does not win, I think it only goes into your record, and maybe at the end of your career you would feel happy about looking at those hundreds and stuff, but deep down you would not be happy, because ultimately your runs or your wickets needs to be converted into victories. That is going to give you more happiness than scoring your own runs or wickets.
And of course, as captain, we've seen a very impressive record. Virat Kohli, among the top few captains in the world, where he is right now.
There is an Indian captain who's never lost an ODI as a captain. He's sitting out here, so maybe this is not the time to bring that up, because if there's anyone who has a 100% record for captaining with more than 1 ODI, it's a man sitting to your left.
You just ruined another joy factor question.
Yeah. No, I think I've asked this before.
You have?
How can I not ask a question on Gautam? Of course it's gone in.
Fair enough, fair enough. But just looking at this Indian side when we're talking about a victory like this, I mean, I don't know how you'd classify it. An easy victory, certainly it was. When you've got 4 more matches to go and you're looking at a test series, and at least we know from their point of view, whether or not this gentleman agrees, they are focused on what's happening in 12 months' time. Is there a danger of sometimes taking a step backwards and saying, okay, this opposition is too easy? Is there a danger?
I don't think they're going to do it for 1 match at least. The next match, they'll still have their foot on the pedal. If they win the next match and the series is done, they might experiment the last one, save Kuldeep maybe, give another batsman a chance or a bowler a chance. I can't see them. They'll finish off this series. This Indian team is ruthless enough. They're not going to get these guys a chance to come in now. If they have a chance, they'll close the door now. After that, whatever they'll do, they'll do.
Yeah, see, Virat Kohli has used words like playing boring and ruthless cricket, but more recently he's also used words like experimentation, eyes on the future, eyes on 2019. So he'll have to weigh both those. He's saying, yes, we want to win, but we're not going to let the guys on the bench just sit and carry the drinks.
You got to achieve the right amount of balance. You know, you got to think of the World Cup, but you can't just keep thinking about that. You know, you have to focus on the processes and winning matches and winning series. So yes, after you have secured the series, you will see some experimentation. You will see some players being tried in different positions. But the bottom line remains the same. Like, you know, you have to achieve your goals first, and which is the record speaks itself. I think, you know, you have the three batsmen, you know, which are the top three batsmen are also top three batsmen in the world now in terms of run scoring, you know. So that basically speaks volumes. I think, you know, that shows that how consistent this team has been, and how consistently these top three have been delivering. And if you are doing the right things and focusing on the processes, which is, you know, getting off to a good start. Like, you know, we always talk about it. If someone has to defend a total, we talk about, you know, team picking up early wickets. If someone has to chase down big totals, we talk about getting that good start. And this team, this batting unit has been doing that consistently. Another crucial factor in terms of winning matches is, you know, getting those creating those wicket taking opportunities in the middle overs, and you have the two wrist spinners who are actually doing it so consistently. So, you know, this is a perfect formula of winning matches, and once you have these kind of resources, it's just about, you know, staying on top of that, not getting complacent, you know, sticking to processes and keeping your head down every time it matters. So, you know, if you're able to achieve these things and ticking these boxes, the results are going to come your way. And yeah, if you continue with this momentum, you know, you will not be complacent. In fact, you will get more and more ruthless. You will get more focused. You will feel that more power as you approach 2019 World Cup.
Certainly will. Now I'm going to hold you there for a second, because we're moving on to Lords, and we're also moving just past midnight, which means we're into 13th of July. And when we think of that particular date, we're going to go in rewind mode slightly, because if you talk about run chases, today was a clinical, simple, easy run chase in terms of 10 overs to spare. But on the 13th of July, a few years ago, at Lords, the venue of the next one-day international, India had a run chase we've talked about very often, but not necessarily always in the presence of the man who hit the winning runs. Zach?
Well, those days, I think 325 was mammoth total.
Exactly.
it was as good as 400 probably in today's cricket.
Zach, to, you know, really answer this question, you should answer it with your shirt off. I think this answer you shouldn't give with your shirt on.
I will leave that to a Bengali.
Thrown back at you.
Oh, today he's hitting all the bouncers. Today he's hitting
winning runs at Lords. Reply to you, reply to me. Only one now. We have to get these two up against each other. Come on, Zach. Memories of that day.
Well, I think I had a interesting theory, you know, which all my friends in the dressing room have been pulling my leg with. But I think in that moment, at that stage, it was important, because after UV got out, you know, I think Anil also got out, and then I was in, and after me, I think there's only one more to come. So I had to really take the responsibility at that stage and just figure out a way of not losing my wicket at that
Nehra
stage.
was to come.
Yes. So
Kaif was at the other end, I think.
Yeah, and Kaif was at the other end. Last over, we needed, I think, 2 runs to win. So I just said that, okay, fine, if Flintoff is going to look to take my wicket, the only way he will get me out is by bowling Yorker or getting me LBW or something. So I was actually, if you look at my stance, I was standing in a funny way, keeping my bat in front of my pad, saying that, okay, I'm not going to get out to you. You can hit my body, I'll get a leg by, you know, you might bowl a wide or something like that. But I'm just not going to give away my wicket, probably, you know, get Kaif on the strike. So that was the thought process and the thinking. It worked. Yeah, if Kaif would have been run out, I think the whole world would have cursed me. But I think it was India's day that day, and Kaif and UV both deserve to be the stars of that match.
I know you were far away in Australia, in a completely different time zone, different hemisphere. But was it a time, as an Indian fan even, was it a time when you saw that, my God, chasing 325 are times changing?
Look, I thought that the way India started was absolutely brilliant. The way Saurav and Viru started, but then in the middle when we lost Rahul, Sachin in very quick succession, and then the way UV and KF batted was absolutely unbelievable, because at that time no one thought that from that situation we would be able to chase 330 odd, and the way KF and UV batted, I thought was incredible, and I thought that was the turning point for one-day cricket in India as well, because before that India was never rated as a very good one-day side, but beating England and that also chasing 330 was a tremendous effort.
Gautam, you have many memories of that. I know that you were there at the match, and fairly interesting memories, I believe.
Yes, interesting ones, but I was just going to say that I think, you know, very often there are reasons why things get overshadowed, and I think Sourav Ganguly himself is to blame by taking his shirt off for people forgetting that he actually played such a good knock at the top of the innings. They all talk about Yuvraj and KF, but if you have a look at his knock and his strike rate, it was actually pretty remarkable.
There's one more question I want to ask you, Zaheer. Apparently, it was said later that nobody in the dressing room moved from their positions while the chase was on. I think somebody was in the bathroom or something. Is that true? Did everyone stay like rooted to the spot because it was superstition?
Yeah, I mean to a larger extent, yes, but not this strictly followed. I think, you know, few were still. I mean, people like me were still moving around, you know, getting ready to go to bat. So yeah, they were allowed to move, but rest of the guys were just glued to their chairs and their positions.
And they had to stay in the same
position.
Because
I think we were about 117
for 5. Yeah,
120 for 5, I think. And then, you know, how usually the energy is okay, you know, almost gone, and then slowly it started to pick up. Things started to just kind of the momentum started to build up. And then, yeah, everyone got a little serious, like, no, you know, got superstitious as well. We have few characters in the dressing room who are very superstitious, so they were making sure that
nobody moved.
Yeah, people, and if you have to take a washroom break, then it has to be in the middle of the over, as in after the over is finished, you know, before the next over starts.
You have to finish and come back in time.
Yeah, so you have you have that much leeway to do your important necessities.
Well, it all started honestly with me with a disappointment, because we in our television crew had a bit of a sweepstakes. No skill involved. It was just picking names out of a hat, and you put £2 each, and winner takes all. It's just a matter of who scores the most, and or takes more wickets or whatever. You got the points. And I picked Nick Knight, who did absolutely nothing. And there was a cameraman we had on the crew who picked Nasser Hussain, and he said, "Oh my God, he's boring. He's a test player. He's not going to do anything." He threw his chit away. And he actually ended up winning, even though Yuvraj and KF did whatever they did. Nasser Hussain, with his 100 and his famous pointing at his back, got the maximum points there. But my other memory, and I'll briefly say it, another bit of superstition in the box. There was Mrs. Shastri and Mrs. Tendulkar sitting there, and because of the way the wickets were falling, Anjali decided to leave. She went back to wherever they were staying, and she said, "I can't watch this match anymore. It's gone anyway." And my wife was sitting with them, with my son who was inside her. And she was sitting next to this elderly gentleman for the entire match. And when I finally came and said, "Wow, celebrating, good day for you to be here, Indian victory," she said, "It was all good except this man has been picking my brain all day." And I looked at him and said, "Do you know who you've been sitting next to throughout this famous NatWest final?" She said, "No." I asked her, "Have you watched a movie called Lawrence of Arabia?" She said, "Yes." That's Lawrence of Arabia. You sat next to Sir Peter O'Toole. That's the kind of people who were there watching the NatWest final. And of course, he's a massive cricket fan, as are all these great stalwarts who come and watch matches at Lord's. So it's going to be an interesting place, Lord's, to be at in a few days' time, when India goes to make it 2-0, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the only way England can make a comeback is if they end up giving conditions for the bowlers, because if England keep giving these kind of wickets, absolutely India is going to just crush them, because India's got 2 wrist spinners, mind you. If there's a little bit of purchase for them, England's not going to be able to survive. So for their bowlers, they need to leave grass on it, and need to have something for their fast bowlers, because their ultimate, there's only one chance they've got, unless and until their fast bowlers do not take wickets. I think it's going to be very difficult for Moeen Ali and Rashid to play that big role, because I think India's the kind of wicket what England has given today. If it's a similar wicket in Lord's, I think India is going to completely be all over England.
Quick word on selection. Maybe we can have a look at the lineups. Obviously for India, it's not necessarily because of disturbing a winning combination, but if Bhuvaneshwar Kumar is fit, probably like-for-like replacement with Siddharth Kaul.
Absolutely, I think, you know, if Bhuvi is fit, then he'll certainly replace Siddharth Kaul. I'm not sure chances of that is to what degree, because there's no update on the injury status as
with
such.
taking 6, no danger of him being rested.
Yeah, and they're not good.
I think this debate will be rested now for the whole remainder of the series.
But from the England point of view, I mean, perhaps we can think of they might be looking at a few changes there, or is it just about the fact that they have to do things differently rather than change the personnel?
I think they will have to do things differently for sure. I think more than the combination, they should think about the approach, what they're bringing on the ground, and certainly they need conditions to help them. So they'll have to work the strategy around it. Probably a bit more bounce in the wicket will surely help them. If that's the case, you might see someone like Jake Ball coming back into the side. But if that's not the case, then I think they'll stick to the same kind of combination. For England, it's very important that Joe Root comes back in the form. So that's the key, I think. So far, you've seen Josh Butler dealing with the wrist spin quite easily, comfortably. He's looked good. But apart from him, no one in the England camp looked comfortable against the quality of the spinners which Indian team has. So that's their main concern. If they're able to deal with that, then you'll see some kind of a fight, some kind of competition, which is very important. Otherwise, today's game, when you're watching, I think at one stage you're kind of feeling, okay, there's no need to watch this game. We know what the outcome is. We know how things are going to unfold, and that doesn't really help. That doesn't really help to any team's morale. Also, it doesn't help in terms of the fans following your team. So I think it's very important for England to sort their mindset out. Go away from the practices, go away from the whole pressures of the game, sort their thinking out, come back fresh. It's because it's not about just going out there and preparing for the game. I think it's little beyond that, and that they need to figure out as quickly as possible, because this is going to be a long tour.
And Owen Morgan said after the game that he expects Lords to be different. Whether or not he's referring to the surface or what he and his team will deliver, we're not sure, but that's what he said.
Two things. I think one is that they're hoping that for once Virat doesn't call right, and the athletes have a chance to chase, because I think that's their best chance, to be honest. That's their best chance. The second is, I think knowing what Trevor and Gautam will know him just as well, even better, he'd probably give them a bollocking today. Not so much because they lost, but because the processes of the way they lost was something that, they did get a shelling. And they deserve it today.
Look, another thing, this probably was a wicket which is closest to the subcontinent wicket as well. This and maybe Old Trafford as well. So maybe Morgan is thinking from that point of view that Lords will provide something different, might not give that much of the amount of help. The wrist spinners got in Trent Bridge, they might not be able to get the same purchase in Lords, and that could be the only reason, because otherwise if they keep continuing play the same way against Kuldeep, I think Kuldeep's going to be all over them. They'll need to change their mindset, irrespective of what the surface is, because ultimately sometimes it's not the surface, it's the mind that starts playing the tricks as well.
There was somebody who cheekily once said that if you want to even things out in a 50-over contest, you should always let the visiting side theoretically win the toss. In this case, I think it'll have to be reversed. Yeah, England will need to win the toss.
They need to win a toss.
But the other news, of course, we've got is that one of the members here of Cricbuzz Live will not be with us when the Lord's ODI is on, for a very good reason. He's going to be off to Moscow to watch the World Cup final. Zach, excited about that?
Very excited, yes. I'm happy that your team has made it to the finals.
And I hope that he's going to be cheering for Croatia, not for France.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah,
so now you've got to pick sides.
At least that is something we can expect from him.
My team is France for the finals.
You're out number 2-1. Are you going to make it 2-all?
I'm 2-all. I'm France also. Well.
That's 3-1.
Good.
Wait a minute, you're France as well?
You're France as well?
I have been from the beginning of the tournament.
You've been saying Croatia?
No, I just said Croatia will beat England. I said Croatia will make the final, but I've been saying France from before the World Cup started. And it's down on paper.
So you're actually scared of England?
So we'll talk about this on 17th. Let's see.
And Gautam will not back away from a fight. 3-1 or 5-1, he doesn't care.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we'll talk about this on the 17th.
There you go. He doesn't care being 3-1 down.
Right,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But what are you hoping to sort of take away from that? Because we're going to see you back on the 17th.
Yeah, I'll give you all the lowdown. Very excited to be. I've actually watched 2010 finals as well, and that also happened very last minute. It wasn't planned like this one as well. I was playing a series in Sri Lanka, and this was post my shoulder op. And there were some issues which just kind of cropped up. You know, I was my shoulder was very stiff. I was not able to bowl. There's a lot of pain, and I had to go and see my doctor in South Africa again. And it happened to be around the finals time.
That is a coincidence of all the
That wasn't planned, but it just happened. So when I was going to South Africa, anyways, I thought, okay, now I'll take my chance. I made few calls, made sure that I get the ticket for the finals. Landed the morning of the finals and watched the finals. It was Spain and Holland.
I needed to go to the dentist.
And mind you, I was backing Spain that time as well.
Russian dentist.
Russian dentist. Yeah, you were backing. So you're suggesting whoever you back is going to be?
No, not suggesting. I'm just saying.
Yeah. All right. So there you have it. That's a good note. But we've still got to figure out the joy factor. And I think we haven't had the slew of answers we normally have had, or have we?
We've actually had about 15 correct answers, which actually is low, but considering the kind of talent that we have out there. So here's the question once again. So select group of 12 people. The last one joined a month back. This group of the people is the people who have given away more than 100 runs in a one-day international match. That means bowlers who have given away more than 100 runs. Martin Snedden was the first, but he had 12 overs to give it away, so he gave it away in 12 overs. The last to join the club was unfortunately Andrew Tye, the day that England got 481. He managed to give it away in 9 overs. So
in Trent Bridge.
In Trent Bridge, this very ground, he gave it away in 9 overs. So it's not a club any bowler wants to join.
Yeah, the two Indians on the list, of course, are Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and Vinay Kumar.
Yes, and I think Vinay also gave it away in 9 overs as well. So that couldn't be memories he'll be happy about.
Not something he'd want to remember at all. And that's why all the hints you were giving, that it's a club that he would not like to be a part of, and he never was a part
any of it. I've not really followed these kind of stats.
And you got him stumped as well. He was wondering what we're talking about here.
Absolutely, no clue about it.
Absolutely. That's it. Just play it simply.
That usually happens when Joy asks the questions.
All right. Let's see who our winner is. In all that excitement, let's not forget
Srivatsan Kesavan.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Srivatsan Kesavan, and see how he's put it. Srivatsan K7.
Yep.
That's a nice way to put your handle.
Yep. And what does he win now? Yeah, that's his first time. I haven't seen that name before, but we are not giving away red tables. What are we giving away? I believe Zach has got a spare World Cup ticket or what?
Yeah, well, not about World Cup ticket. I'm sure instead of a red table, he'll get something back from Red Square.
Okay.
And whatever little souvenir he gets back, we're going to send to Srivatsan Kesavan.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. Especially because it was a match from
you are promising on my behalf.
Yeah, well, I just
people you can just ask them.
I think we should join politics after this. We can make promises on other people's behalf. We should join politics.
How many times I've given this red table away without even asking the proprietor of the red table, Mr. Gaurav Kapoor, just gave it away any time I felt like. Then he of course picked it up and carried it away right out of there. Well, on that note, I think well past midnight, but at least probably the match would still have been on had England got about 360 and India would have chased it down with maybe in 48 overs. But thank you, gentlemen. It's been great. Have a great time in Russia, and we shall see you back. And it was great to have you on your first day on Cricbuzz Live.
Great fun.
Well, plenty more to come. It's only one match down. India 1-0 up, having won the T20 International Series. Of course, we want you to give us all your feedback. Hashtag Cricbuzz Live. In fact, on that particular note, we want you to also write into us and tell us where were you on 13th of July in 2002. Give us a good answer, and maybe in addition to your joy factor, we shall send a few more prizes your way. It's all hashtag Cricbuzz Live. We're going to keep many more topics, much more fun, and we're going to see you back on Saturday, remember, earlier in the afternoon. Until then, it's good night.